I'm Michelle Fields, and I'm joined today by Dan Mitchell, who is a senior fellow at the CATO Institute. Thank you so much for joining me.
Glad to be here, Michelle.
Okay, so the economy is not doing well. The labor participation rate is the lowest it's been in 35 years. What is going on? Explain.
We are becoming like Europe. High taxes, bigger government, more intervention, more cronyism. So as a result, our economy is resembling Europe in the sense that instead of sort of the normal strong growth you get coming out of a recession, we didn't get any of that. And instead of the average long-run growth of 3%, we're not getting that. Now we're sort of happy, 2% growth. So the world's not coming to an end, but we're not doing what we should be doing. We're underperforming as an economy, and that's one of the reasons why we're seeing these very bad numbers in the labor market. Yeah, the official unemployment rate has come down a bit, but mostly because a lot of people have just decided, I'm going to give up, I'm going to live off the government, I'm not going to work, I'm going to somehow get in on the disability scam. It's not a very positive sign for the future of the country.
Speaking of unemployment, the big battle right now is about extending unemployment benefits. On Capitol Hill, this is what everyone's talking about. Should we do that? Yes or no?
If you want more unemployment, if you want people unemployed for longer periods of time, it's funny. Well, actually, it's not funny. It's kind of sad. But you have left-wing economists like Paul Krugman and Larry Summers who, in their academic writings, have openly acknowledged if you pay people money, but a condition of getting the money is they have to be unemployed, guess what? You are going to extend the periods of unemployment. Now, I could get all technical and wonky and talk about how unemployment benefits increase what's called the reservation wage, which is what you would need before you decided to get off unemployment and take a job. But the key thing to understand is just common sense incentives. If you are going to be able to watch game shows all day or soap operas, and the government's going to send you a check, it's going to be hard to be motivated to really get out there and hit the pavement. And then you wind up creating these very damaging conditions of long-term unemployment. And when an employer, once you finally do get out there and look, when an employer sees that you've been unemployed for a year, 18 months, 2 years, it really does hurt your chance of getting a job. So the government is killing people with kindness.
Yeah, it makes it more difficult. You know, we just had the 5-year anniversary of the stimulus bill that President Obama supported. He said that it was going to bring down unemployment, that it was going to be a success. And now the White House this week is saying that it was a success, that our economy is so much better, it wouldn't have been able to succeed if it hadn't been for the stimulus. Do you think they're wrong?
What they're claiming is a challenge. And here's all your viewers need to understand. If you go to the Department of Labor website, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, kind of boring, you probably have better things to do with your life, but if you do that and you look at the actual number of employed Americans by month, you will see that we still have fewer people employed today than we had at the previous peak in the economy. So how then could the so-called stimulus have created 6 million jobs like the administration claims? Now, what they do, if you dig into the report, well, this is how many jobs we lost, but we would have lost 6 million more if it wasn't for the so-called stimulus. So they're playing this game like they always do in Washington, where they create an artificial benchmark, and then they estimate what the impact of their policy is off that benchmark. But the reality is, this is just Keynesian economics. That's all the stimulus was. The idea that you take money out of your left pocket, you put it in your right pocket, and somehow you're richer. Well, it didn't work for Hoover and Roosevelt in the 30s. It didn't work for Japan in the 90s. It didn't work for Bush in 2008. And it didn't work for Obama in 2009. You don't make an economy more dynamic and more prosperous by making government bigger.
So what do we got to do? We have to cut spending, but where do we start? If you could, in your ideal world, Dan, where would we start?
In my ideal libertarian fantasy world, some guys dream about supermodels. I dream about small government. And in that ideal libertarian fantasy world, we'd be getting rid of entire departments of the federal government. We'd be bringing the federal government from 21% of GDP back down to 3, 4, 5% of GDP. We'd completely reform and revamp the entitlement programs. But we don't need to do all that. We should, but we don't need to. Do you realize, according to the just released numbers from the Congressional Budget Office, we could balance the budget in just 3 years if we just froze spending where it is right now? If we let it grow at the rate of inflation, we'd balance the budget in 2019. All you need to realize is that in any given normal year, even with weak growth like we're having now, revenues are going to increase 5 to 6% a year. Now, I'm not a math genius, but if revenues are going up 5 to 6% a year, all you have to do to make progress is to have government spending grow less than 5 to 6% a year. And that's really the key to long-run fiscal sanity, is just make sure somehow that government grows slower than the private sector. That's what I call Mitchell's golden rule. My friend Art Laffer, he gets the Laffer curve. I have to name something after myself in hopes of getting famous.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and
Well, thank you.
talking to us about that. For Next Generation TV, I'm Michelle Fields. Thanks for watching.